Well, today marks 5 years since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic. Now, at the time, food insecurity was thrust in the national spotlight as people lost their jobs and aid networks were placed under strain. But today, food pantries are still grappling with the increased demand since the pandemic, with no signs of need letting up anytime soon. Joining us now, Jilly Stephens, the CEO of City Harvest. Jilly, welcome. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Good morning, Chris. Good to be here.
Hard to believe that it has been 5 years since the pandemic was declared. In your opinion, how has the pandemic changed the landscape of food insecurity in New York City?
Well, food insecurity was always too high in New York City even before the pandemic. But what we're seeing is that the combination of the pandemic and the high inflation, the rising cost of food, are really bringing far more people to the pantries in New York City. For example, in 2019, we saw about 25 million visits to the food pantries. And last year alone, that number was at 46 million visits. So it's a problem that was always big, has grown, and unfortunately is not subsiding.
Those numbers, they've got to not only surprise you, but shock you as well, because it's thank God that your resource and your services are available, but the need is significant.
Yeah, they're very sobering. You know, Chris, the food pantries that City Harvest brings food to, just at those food pantries, we're seeing 1 million more visits a month than we were seeing in 2019. So people are really, struggling to make ends meet, as they always did, but it's just a little harder these days.
About 67% of New Yorkers who rely on food pantries are employed. But what does it say about the changing nature of poverty and economic inequality, which is something we talk about all the time? People having 1-2 jobs, but still not being able to afford necessities.
Yeah, you're right. Very high number of people visiting food pantries have jobs. An even higher percentage have been employed all the way through the pandemic. It tells us that, as we all know, New York is a very expensive city. Rent costs are high and growing. Childcare costs have risen. And the people that we're serving are really struggling to pay all the bills. You have to pay your rent. You have to pay your utility bill. You have to pay childcare, transportation. There's no getting around that. But you can decide not to go to the grocery store. It doesn't have to be every week. Maybe it's a couple of times a month, just to make that money stretch a little bit further. And so visiting food pantries has really become part of the financial management for so many New Yorkers. It's how they make their budget stretch. You
talk about financial management. According to the USDA, food prices have risen about 23% since 2000. We talk about this every day, sometimes jokingly, that egg prices are through the roof right now. But about your costs, how are you able to manage your costs to be able to provide all of this for people in need? But again, you can't lose your shirt as well, because you have to stay in business. You've got people you need to employ.
Yeah. Our costs have risen, and we're managing them only because of the donors who make our work possible. We're really concerned about the New Yorkers we're here to serve. They're struggling day in, day out to manage their own rising costs. And one of the ways they manage it is to turn to this fantastic network of food pantries that City Harvest has the privilege to bring food to, great nutritious food every single day. So we're very concerned about those New Yorkers, and our donors make it possible for us to deliver on our mission.
I've got to let you go here in about 15 seconds, but looking ahead, what are your hopes for the coming years for food insecurity in the city here?
Well, needs aren't subsiding, as I said. It's a very sobering situation. We really depend on the government at all levels, federal, state, city, to do as much as they can to make sure that all of our neighbors in New York City and right across the country have the good, nutritious food they need for themselves and their families.
All right, Jilly, thank you very much. Jilly Stephens, the CEO of City Harvest. We appreciate you taking a few moments for us.
Thank you.
Always good to talk to you. For more stories about the 5-year anniversary of COVID-19, you can head to CBSNewYork.com.